What's up, YouTube? It's Ken again. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. In this video, I am going to talk through the process that I followed to remove and replace the rear active engine mount and the front active engine mount on my 2005 Odyssey. There are videos on YouTube that document this process. I'm not saying they're bad, but I think this is just a better format for demonstrating what needs to be done. Some of the gotchas, some of the tips, some of the tricks that I uncovered, and hopefully it will help you, as well as future me when I know I'm gonna have to replace these again. These are aftermarket units. I really try and go OEM wherever I can, but get this and be prepared for your jaw to hit the floor. The rear engine mount here, Honda wants over $1,000 for it. I'm pretty sure you can get it cheaper, but I mean, 600 even, 700, at what point do you say that's crazy for a 180,000 mile van? I think that one they want at least $500 to $600. So anyway, just know going in, those are your options. If you want the active engine mounts, they're really expensive. Now, alternatively, I'll just mention here too, if you don't know this information, you can muzzle your VCM, which I recommend doing in any case either way. And by doing that, you can convert to using the passive engine mounts that are much, much cheaper. And maybe if you went OEM for all 5 engine mounts that are on the car, you might be looking at around $500 for that, I'm guessing. Again, that's just a strict estimate. But anyway, I elect to do this just because I figured it'd be the simplest. Just from a time-saving perspective, I figured it would just make the most sense in my application here. These anchors here that were in the car lasted a pretty long time, and they lasted through years of VCM being on and off. So whether or not that contributed towards their failure in the end, I'm not sure. But regardless, it was time to replace them. I was actually having some engine vibration issues when I was stopped but in drive. And it was really noticeable. Like the steering wheel was very visibly shaking and you could hear it, kind of like a rrrr. I also had some vibrations at highway speeds, but I believe that actually going with original OEM axles, I actually reused my original 140,000 mile axles, and that actually cleared it up. I just had to reboot them, which I might show in another video. I did recently at least 4 to 5, maybe even up to $10,000 worth of repairs had I gone to a shop for both of my vans, and yeah, it was just a lot. So I wanted to film it all, but life just got in the way and I just couldn't. All right, couple notes. I'm also going to cover some of the tools that I used that I found really, really helpful. And one tool that you're going to need off the bat, and I'll start with the rear engine mount here, is a creeper. I just don't, especially if you're doing this solo, I don't see how you could do it without a creeper, without really torturing yourself. I'll throw up on screen the one I bought. I actually didn't use any coupons because I was just kind of in a pinch and needed it, which I hate doing when I'm going to Harbor Freight, but it is what it is. I strained my left trapezius muscle in my back, and it has been bothering me for probably about 4 weeks now. It's slowly getting better, very slowly. I've seen a chiropractor for it, and anyway, so I did this with that strain in mind, and the creeper was just a godsend. If I didn't have that, I would be beyond miserable right now, I'm sure. So do yourself and your back a favor, get a creeper. Once you get the van up on jack stands in the front, so I always lift the tow hook and then I put the 2 jack stands on the sides where the jack points are. Refer to your owner's manual, refer to other videos, just make sure you do that right. Because if you're crawling under that van, you want to make sure that it is well secured. And just be really mindful to follow best safety practices when you're repairing something underneath the vehicle. I didn't raise the back of the van up. I've seen recommendations where people say that that's a good idea. I can see why it would be. I didn't feel the need to. The thing about this motor mount in particular, I'm just going to start here. I found it easiest just to come in from this side of the car. Assume that the car is facing this way, facing to the front. This is what it's going to look like in the back. Actually, you're going to have kind of a hat on this as well. And there are 2 17mm nuts. So one here and one here. That's reinstalled on the car. You just swap it over basically. But anyway, it's going to be oriented like this. I find that it's easier to come in on the driver's side, head first, and you're basically working sideways. That's how I found the most success with all of this. And then you can kind of pivot to where your head can be, you know, basically like back here. To get to this bolt here in particular, now I'm going to stop myself here. Where you want to support your vehicle is right up underneath the transmission. With this orientation, it'd be somewhere over in here. Now, definitely do your homework on that. Make sure you get the right spot. I'll try and throw a picture up or something that shows it. But anyway, you want to jack it up. I use a piece of wood on my jack, and you just want to support it. I can't remember if I did that when I was removing these bolts. I'm not proposing that that's the best idea. Please understand that. But I don't think I did that yet. And I know I didn't with this top bolt. I actually did this one last. I don't know that there's really a certain order you should do these in, but I had this really loose and then I did this. I think I loosened this one just from being like right here. Let's just pretend that my head was like right here. And I actually used this Icon 14mm double box end ratcheting wrench, worth its weight in gold. Highly recommend this. You can find essentially the same thing. I think they're mountain wrenches on like Amazon for cheaper. My rationale with going with Harbor Freight is that, you know, if I break this, I can just run in and swap it out. So got a lifetime warranty. Whereas with the mountain, I don't know how theirs works or if you got to send it in, but I have a Harbor Freight real close to me. Anyway, for this one, I actually just popped that 14mm on there, and I had to use, I think, that extender right there, and I just pop it on, you know, like so, and then tug. All these bolts were really tight. I've seen people say they're not that tight, they just require some pressure. If that's your situation, fantastic. A shop replaced these for me in the past, and they got it really tight. So I don't know what it would feel like from the factory. I can't actually say that I recommend this approach though. I think if you kind of go back underneath the vehicle to where your head's like back here and you're looking this way, there is actually clearance to put the wrench something like this, and you might have enough room to actually, you know, loosen it that way. That's actually how I did this one back here, that back left bolt. There is clearance, you know, this way in the engine bay from my experience. So just like this. And honestly, those are the two harder bolts in my opinion, because over here, take off your passenger wheel, and with this right here alone, you can reach in there. You might have to like kind of sit yourself in the wheel well. But once you do that, you can actually just pop your wrench right onto that bolt there and turn it off. And then if you need a wrench extender because they're just super tight, then get yourself a wrench extender. And that covers those 4 bolts. Now with the weight of the engine pressing down, it's not like this is going to lift up while you're, you know, trying to turn that one out. But this one was kind of a bear. I basically came in the same way, just off to the side here. I put, I believe, just one extension and a 14mm, just a base socket, not a long one, but I don't remember exactly. You want to play with it because there's not a lot of room. It's like maybe, you know, from the bolt to the frame of the car that's there, it's like that much room or so. But you want to get that lined up really well. And then I angled the wrench like this. There's a wire underneath here that connects to the transmission. So you got to be really careful with that. Don't damage it. But then once I got this all configured up, from outside the vehicle, I put my extender on, just like so, from the wheel well on the driver's side. And this was enough. I had to push pretty much at the bottom of the extender. And I had the vehicle lifted just barely enough. You do have to have the vehicle lifted pretty high with this in mind. I think I was 4 clicks in on my jack stands or so. I have Pittsburgh jack stands. I know that some of them have recalls. I've checked mine, they don't. Anyway, I was then able to break that loose, but let me tell you, mine was extremely tight. I then did lift up the engine underneath that transmission case, basically. So bear in mind, we still have that hat. I forget if I mentioned that in this take or not, but there's a hat that goes over this with 2 nuts. That was still on for me. Some people say that they came right in from the top and zipped those out. Some people say that they took like, just pretend this is a flexible head ratchet, and they popped on their ratchet like so with a deep well socket and twisted it off. I mean, hey, if that works for you, great. I don't see how that would personally. I'm almost positive you could take your 17mm Icon wrench from that passenger wheel well and get that one off there, because that's just a straight shot there. I didn't see any issues with that. You might have to use this side of it because there's not a lot of clearance, perhaps, you know, once you get down with that rubber top on. But either way, you could probably get that one worked off that way. But here's what I did. With this completely loose, I actually just oriented it in such a way that I could then get to it from the top, just going straight down with some extensions. And you can see that here. You got to be careful because there is other stuff down there. I don't know what I was rubbing up against. I think something metallic, but I double checked and triple checked, and I don't think I damaged anything. But that's just a 17, and then I used my biggest impact gun. It didn't really struggle, but I mean, it took it a couple zips to get it off. Once I got those nuts off, I took that top piece off and brought it down, and then you can just snake this out. I saw people say that they could get it out with the hat. I don't know how they did it, because the mount that comes in from the engine is like right here, and it sits basically right up under that rubber, you know, top. And without removing that thing or ripping it, I just don't know how you get it off without it. But once you get all these bolts out, getting that off is not that much of a challenge, because you can, again, just get some long extensions and get it off that way. Now, getting it back in was actually super easy. How I'm going to describe this process might not be right, so correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm just explaining how I did it. I'm not advising that you do the same on this. I got all the bolts started and it lined up perfectly once I got the new one back up in there. It was a bit of a jigsaw, but I basically just went, I didn't say this, but I just went where that line was to the transmission. I just kind of snaked it up around that and got it in. That's how I got it out too. But anyway, I digress. I got all the bolts started, including the through bolt, lower the engine down, and then tighten everything up. There are torque specs for this. I am big into torque specs, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how. Well, I guess you could torque some of these down, but my goodness, would that be difficult? I just used this right here, and I just got it real tight, as tight as I felt I could without breaking anything, and I called it a day. For the top nut, I was able to come in this way and tighten it down there. I think I had to flip it this way with the rubber top over the top. And so obviously once I got it all tightened down, then I put the rubber top on, and that's where I did that one. For this one, there's just no clearance. I mean, maybe you could do something like that and tighten it. But what I did was just took my regular, box wrench, and I got it all the way tight, as much as I could, finger tight. And then I just snugged it up, with this. Basically in this orientation, there was room this way. Enough for this wrench, but not a lot else. So anyway, I got it as tight as I could with that wrench and called it a day. So I'm not saying that's perfect. I'm not advising that you do that. Like I said, follow your own heart, use your own judgment. I think that's sufficient. I got it as tight as I could, and that was done. That was actually a lot of work considering my strained back, because I was constantly nursing it while I was going through this process. But yeah, you can see, I mean, it is caved in. I did actually raise the engine up a fair amount. I don't know if this is really loose, but I do believe that was massively contributing to the vibration I was feeling. So you can see the front there. All right. The front one. This one was actually ripped pretty good. So you can see I'm kind of pulling that away. Hoping the light picks this up. It's pretty dark. And I've got an overhead light too for better lighting. But anyway, this was ripped. This is the front one. And it's wicked loose. Now, I'll just mention this really briefly here. There is a guide, I think it's from Mr. Ranger Z1, really good guide for showing how to do this through taking the upper radiator hose off and all that. Now, let me tell you, on a 2007 to 2010, I'm going to say that probably works really well. I'm guessing on 2007 being the starting year for that. My 2005, and I'm going to assume 2006 is going to be in the same boat. Here's why. The radiator fans, they have clips on them that I didn't see on Mr. Ranger's video on his. So there are clips that run up kind of the passenger side, and they are clipped in such a way that I spent probably an hour trying to get them out without breaking anything. It's not worth it. God forbid you ever have to replace those fans, you can deal with it then. But otherwise, leave it the heck alone. It's not worth it. However, having said that, I still think it's worth doing some of what he did, but just stop short of removing those fans. Get the radiator brackets loose to where you can kind of tilt everything forward. I think that helped. But then what I had to do, if we assume here, I'll just put this in the proper orientation. The wiring harness clips in over here. Anyway, over here, there's like a big block. I think there were, I don't know if they were 12 or 14 millimeter bolts, but anyway, you unscrew those. But to get to that even, you've got to take out the battery tray. I have another video showing how to do that. I'll throw it up on a card here. It was for a series of jobs. You'll have to kind of scroll through that, but you can look up other videos on how to remove the battery tray. It's really not that bad. You're going to have to remove it to get to the starter. If you have a 2005, 2006, there's a transmission filter that you need to remove it for. So while you're in there, if you haven't replaced your starter in like ever, and you've got like 200,000 miles, and if I had the money to throw at it, I would replace the starter while I was in there. You might find other things that you need to do while you're in there too. So Like I said, the transmission filter being one. I think the EGR sits like right up here, so you can clean that. But anyway, getting all of that out, you then have room, especially with the radiator being able to tilt back a little bit. There's plenty of room after you get that rubber block that sits here out to get in there and get these bolts out. The back bolt here is just the worst, and you do have to have wobble extensions. So here's what a wobble looks like. It's just got kind of a, I don't know, roundish head. And that allows the socket to kind of wobble on there, as the name implies. And for that back bolt, you got to have it. These are pretty accessible. I think this one even you have to have a wobble. But anyway, everything else in Mr. Ranger's video is right on. I mean, you do also have to take off the ignition coil that sits right up above this. So there's quite a bit of disassembly involved. This was just a pain in the butt. The anchor that I replaced it with, the bolt holes didn't line up exactly. So getting that in there was a chore. We basically started the bottom ones first. I had my Uncle Jay helping me. Shout out to you, Uncle Jay, thank you. And then to get the through bolt in, it was actually kind of cockeyed. It was really weird. Just almost pretend that the bracket it was supposed to mount to was kind of like this. And so we just had to really finesse it. We had to play with the engine height quite a bit to just get it exactly right. And then we kind of had to force it. So it probably wasn't great for this rubber, but hopefully that doesn't cause it to tear. Maybe that's what caused this one to tear. I don't know. I'll have to keep an eye on that. But anyway, this one was a pain. And then because we did remove the upper radiator hose, I had to bleed the coolant, which I have a video that I can throw up on a card here for that. It's a process, but the results speak for themselves. The van is very quiet. It's really great. And I'm sure that having good engine mounts does a lot for a vehicle, especially in protecting the other parts in the vehicle. I could imagine that the geometry is off with like the CV axles or maybe some of your other suspension components. So if you've got vibrations, if you know that it's your engine mounts, probably a good idea to replace them. I will say this though, on my 2010 Odyssey, which had VCM enabled for pretty much all of its life, it's got almost 200,000 miles, like right on the money. It's like 199 and some change. I'm pretty sure it's still rocking the originals, and I don't have any vibration issues on it. So 2010s, maybe they handled things better. It did get a re-ring job done at like, I think it was 175K. When I bought it used, at like 176, so right after the re-ring. No, the re-ring was like 165 or something like that. Anyway, it wasn't burning any oil, whereas my 2005 Odyssey did. But anyway, I say all of that to say, I'm pretty sure it had VCM enabled all its life, thus requiring a re-ring. And I didn't see anywhere in the service history where they replaced the mounts. So the OEMs really do last a long time, or can. Probably have engine mounts in its future. So again, this video too is somewhat selfish in that hopefully it helps me to replace them in the future. One last thing on this, I didn't torque this one down either. Again, I'm really big on torque specs, but because you have to have such a crazy angle to get to that back left one, maybe it would have been good to torque the others down, but I just didn't see a point. I got them really tight. No issues so far. I haven't honestly driven the van much other than to test drive it, so take that with a grain of salt. But when you do have wobble extensions and everything affecting the geometry, and you're not just 90 degrees onto a bolt, your torque settings just aren't going to register the same, is my understanding. Comment down below if you know differently or what your thoughts are on all of that. And I think I'll wrap it all up here. So if you need engine mounts, hopefully this helps. If you go with the active, you know what you're getting into. And even if you wanted to convert them, hopefully this gives you some information on getting those bolts out in an easier way. All that said, if you found this content enjoyable or helpful, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Please do consider subscribing so that you see future content. And as always, please do comment below if you have any feedback, thoughts, questions, or concerns. Thanks for watching. Peace.